Hey fellow onces, this is From Once to Once for Twice. Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to start the launch of my Twice Signed Polaroid series. In the last few months I've really gotten into signed Polaroids and it's been a really eye-opening experience. It's something I want to share with you guys, show you a little bit about my collection, and talk a little bit about some of the lessons I've learned along the way. We'll talk about how to buy, where to buy, what to expect, what to look for, and what to look out for. Hopefully you'll enjoy learning more about the signed Polaroid world, or maybe you're just somebody who's been wanting to get into it but just never made that leap yet. I want to make clear, I'm not offering financial advice or telling you which Polaroid exactly to buy. I'm only here to share my experiences with you and expose you to the vast world of Polaroid collecting. With that, let's get going. So you're probably asking, how can I get a hold of one of these Polaroids? For the record, this is one I made up. It doesn't actually exist, but we have to recognize there is a primary market and a secondary market. An example of the primary market is the Eyes Wide Open promotional album release, where there were 90 designated Polaroids that were placed into random albums. If you were lucky enough, you drew one of these Polaroids and, well, it probably felt like cash was raining from the sky for you. Another example of primary Polaroids being won was seen with the Perfect World Japanese album, where the most lucky onces entered a raffle and won these Polaroids. The last example is the Flow Taste of Love Polaroids, where Flow, a streaming service, teamed up with Twice to release these rare Polaroids. So what you're probably realizing is there's not much of a market for the primary Polaroid market, unless Lady Luck is your sister. So where can we practically get Polaroids? The answer? The secondary market. Instagram, Twitter, Mercari, eBay, all places to buy from. Important to note is places like Twitter and Instagram have both sellers and resellers roaming about. Let's first familiarize ourselves with the concept of sellers and resellers. When you're dealing directly with a seller who may have a Polaroid that you want, yeah, that's you. Good looking you. Don't be shy. It's okay to be good looking. You can negotiate the price, the terms, and several other factors. When you've settled on the terms, you can then pay the seller, and you can purchase your Polaroid on the secondary market. Take note, it may still feel like money's falling from the sky when you obtain your Polaroid. So with resellers, what you might not realize is they don't have the Polaroid in hand. They act as an intermediate between you and the Polaroid source. While the Polaroid source could be somebody who's publicly listed their Polaroid online, the alternative case could be true as well, which is the only way to obtain this particular Polaroid is through the reseller. Once the reseller receives the funds, they'll pay the seller their due amount to obtain the Polaroid, and from there, the Polaroid will be shipped to you. While not always the case, resellers are more likely to be on social media sites as opposed to marketplace apps. Marketplace sites like Mercari and eBay also play middlemen. There is a fee to pay, but typically it comes from the seller, and the good news is it's a predetermined amount. Now let's move on and talk about Polaroid sizes. When you're looking to purchase signed Polaroids, you'll notice that they'll come in one of three sizes. The first is the mini, the second is a square, and the third is a wide. Let's discuss the differences by first looking at the mini. By far the most popular size in the K-pop world. Some examples are shown here, including one of Sana turned sideways as a mini Polaroid. Minis are great in that they're compact and easily transportable, almost like trading cards. The downside is they can be printed with this Instax printer. We'll have more on this later. Wide Polaroids can commonly be found in Japan. Some examples are shown here by Towasuda, who is an avid collector and seller. You can find his Twitter handle in the video description below. Wide Polaroids are favored by some because of their naturally larger size. An added benefit is that you cannot simply replicate them by printing them like you would be able to do the mini Polaroids. Last but not least is the square Polaroid. Wait, that's a Dragon Ball. Well, they're practically the same thing because the square Polaroid's pretty darn rare. Similar to the wide Polaroid, this can only be printed on the spot when the picture's taken. Here's an example of TWICE members holding square Polaroids at the Daikon Dispatch event. That's some holy grail stuff going on. So let's go over my 4 items you need to know before getting into buying signed Polaroids. Tip number 1, getting to know signed Polaroid etiquette. What you'll notice is when you see signed Polaroids online, they tend to be really blurry or partially covered up. The reason for this is that signed Polaroids have value in their uniqueness. There's an inability to replicate that Polaroid. So imagine if somebody puts up a naked Polaroid without any covering or without any blurring, that could easily be reproduced and that would decrease the value. So when you put a picture of a Polaroid up online, make sure it's either covered or it has your name across to show that it is uniquely that Polaroid. Tip number 2, make sure you make friends within the Polaroid community. Experience cannot be substituted by luck. I've had the fortune of meeting very experienced people in the Polaroid world, and they've guided me through several successful purchases. Specifically, people like my friend Cece or Simon, who helped me immensely. You can find Cece's Twitter handle here or down in the video description below. Tip number 3, don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. And this is where having somebody by your side who's experienced can really pay off. I'll leave that tip short and sweet for now. Tip number 4, make sure you pay with PayPal, goods and services, and not PayPal friends and family. PayPal goods and services has a small fee that accompanies it, but what it does is it protects you from scammers who may not even send that Polaroid to you. PayPal friends and family has minimal to no fees, but once that money is sent, there is no turning back. So always make sure you negotiate PayPal goods and services as part of your purchase. So that does it for this video. There will be a lot more content coming, so just make sure you're on the lookout for it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button and make sure you subscribe. For now, this is From Once, To Once, For Twice.